what I want to do in this format in Facebook Live is actually share directly with you on how to focus on yourself, to keep the focus on yourself. How can I, as an individual, not as a helper, not as a mom, not as a dad, not as a parent, not as a spouse, not as a partner, not as a employee, not as a supervisor, as a human being, what can I do to help myself hurt less and feel better? And the goal of hurting less, and it has to be both and, in my opinion. This is all, of course, can be my opinion. It has to be both and, in my opinion. And the reason is because hurting people, this is no surprise, hurting people hurt people. Intentionally or unintentionally, hurting people hurt people. Every single time I have opened my mouth and something has flown out of my face hole, and I have unintentionally, hopefully, maybe passive aggressively, maybe subconsciously, hurt the people in my life around me, those that I love, because I said something stupid, I popped off, It was because I was hurting. It was because I felt wounded. It was because I was hungry and angry all at the same time. It was because resentments had built up on and on and on and on and on. So every time we do something, whether it's intentional or unintentional, every single time, whether it's verbal or we forget something or we're passive aggressive or we roll our eyes or we use a snide comment or criticism or judge people in our minds. I'm a person of faith, so I quote wisdom of our faith biblically a lot. So I love the text that says, "From the heart, the mouth speaks." So when I have that hurt in my heart, it's going to come out of, it may or may not come out of my mouth, but whatever comes out of my mouth, it's because of whatever's going on in my heart. That's not just biblical, that's actually really good psychology. And maybe that would be a fun study as well, of just the good psychology that you can find in Hebrew scriptures and other in New Testament and other sacred texts. Having said, okay, so helping where you hurt. Caveat. Point for you. No one else can do that but you. You can go to as much therapy as you want. You can journal as much as you want. You can get on the treadmill or elliptical or whatever, go for as many dog walks as you want. All of those are really good, healthy decisions. You can eat well, you can get 8-9 hours of sleep. Some of you, 6 would be a win. You can do all of that, and those are really great, healthy decisions. But as far as change is concerned, it has to come from you. There is no app, there is no therapist, and I'm speaking as a former one. There is no secret formula or magic pill. It has to come from you. And I'll tell you, here's what I feel is truth on top of truth. I guess that means really truthful. One thing that I found a lot of stuff in my experience working with hundreds, if not thousands of people. Well, at least hundreds of people for thousands of hours. I think that's fair assumption. One thing that I have found is there is one thing harder than changing. There is one thing harder than changing. A thought, a mindset, an attitude, harder than changing a feeling that gets rutted, that you just like obsessed with and you just want to keep ruminating, harder than changing a behavior. There is one thing harder than changing. I absolutely said that wrong. Did you see my face? All right, let me go back. There's one thing harder than being miserable. I gave the punchline before I gave the joke. There is one thing. Hey, it's live. Let's do it. There's one thing. Am I embarrassed? You can tell my face is so high. There's one thing harder than being miserable. There's one thing harder than having a miserable thought that you keep thinking, or a miserable feeling that you keep feeling, or a behavior that creates miserable thoughts and feelings that you keep doing. Here it is. There's one thing harder than that, and it's changing. All right. So forget that last stuff I said. There's one thing. I don't know. I'll put it in. Check it out on Instagram. Check out our Instagram page. We have stuff like that, little sayings all the time about things like that. What's harder than being miserable is changing. So, and change is up to you. Okay. So hurting less, absolutely up to you. You have the power. We'll talk about some specifics. It's up to you. It's a change. And it's hard. I'm acknowledging that. I'm validating that. Where are my peers? Validate first, validate always. The second thing we're looking at doing in this formatted in this space is feeling better. In the same way that hurting less is up to you. And I mean, like when I say therapists can't do it or something, you've got to, you got to buy in. I go to PT, I hurt my shoulder. And every time I go to PT, she says, okay, she's teaching me some new stuff. She calls it pain and torture, and that's absolutely true. She teaches me new stuff. And then she says, this week, I want you to work on for your strength training, for your building up those muscles and so forth and so on. I can go to her every week or every other day for the rest of my life. But unless I come home and I commit to doing the work myself, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. So I'm not trying to dismiss professionals. Incredibly important. Get plugged in. Okay. But you have to do the work yourself and you have to commit to that. So hurting less and the other is feeling better. Same thing. You have to do the work yourself. You have to commit to that. We're going to look at ways that you can commit to that you can do the work yourself and you can commit to that. But the first thing is it has to be a decision. Okay. So those of you, I work mostly with law enforcement, federal, state, local. And it's very common for people in our training to have the come in uniform, especially in our state and our local trainings. Feds are, I don't know, in suits, in polos, and in more plain clothes, I guess. Not really a uniform. So I'll often say in training, more powerful because they're wearing their holster, more powerful than the gun in your holster. True or false? More powerful than the gun in your holster is your ability to make a decision. And if you're not a gun carrier, you're aware, you've seen a movie or know of weapons. So imagine that more powerful than a weapon, AR-15, Glock, whatever you want to think of, Uzi, grenade launcher, whatever big movies you've seen. More powerful than that is your ability to make a decision. Hi, Scott. I see that you're watching. Glad you're on. Glad you're still, I think, Leslie, you're still here. That's awesome. Glad everyone's here. Is your ability to make a decision, meaning that you have choice. Every second of every day, you have choice. All right. So let's get into it. I keep saying, let's get into it. And we're already 11 minutes into it. That was all the lead up into what we're about in this platform, helping you keep the focus on yourself. Keep the focus on yourself. One more time. Keep the focus on yourself. This isn't about if that person would change, I would feel better. If that person would stop doing what they're doing, that would help me hurt less because they're hurtful. No one will change unless they want to change. If you want to hurt less and feel better, that is 100% up to you. 100% up to you. If you are waiting for people around you to change so that you hurt less and feel better, that gives them way too much power. And that puts way too much of it's called an external locus of control. You're taking your agency, you're taking your power, you're taking how your feel goods, how you want to feel about yourself, and you're handing that over to someone else and say, you determine the way I'm going to feel today. If that's your decision, that is your decision and that is your choice. But I'm not going to depend on someone else. And that doesn't, that I want to choose because that feels like freedom. I want to choose because that feels like empowerment. I want to choose because that feels good to me. No matter what's happening around us, no matter whether that person is drinking or not, no matter that person has a bad attitude or not, no matter that person is hangry or not, no matter that supervisor treats them differently than they treat you, no matter, I can be blank whether that person is doing whatever they're doing or not. That's my choice. That's your power. That's incredible. That is good news. When I preach in a Lutheran church, we have to, I'm a Lutheran now. When we any Lutheran preacher, some of you are Lutheran out there, I know, you have to share good news. You can't just say law, this. You have to have, this is good news. So gospel, consider that this is good news. Everything that happens in this space, it is with everything that happens in your space, it is within your power. And yes, things happen to us that we can't control. I get that. I absolutely get that. You know, we get a diagnosis that we don't want. We get something in the mail that sends us into crisis, like a bill or whatever that we didn't want. Something, we get a phone call that changes the trajectory of our day. If it's powerful enough, may even be changing the trajectory of our year or life. We cannot help what happens to us all the time. We just can't. But we can help what we do next. Okay. We can help what we do next. We can decide what we do. Thank you, Leslie, for that comment. We can decide what we do moving forward. We can decide how we want to make those decisions. Okay. So we're not all victim. We're not all hero. We're not all powerful, but we're also not all powerless. Finding where you are in all of that, and more importantly, where you want to be, I think is critical. And I think that's what 2022 is, the first month right here, the first few days into it, 6 days into it. I think that's something that's a really important message to hear, to get focused on ourselves, get focused on yourself. What do you want to feel today, this year for sure? But just today, right now, what do you want to feel more than anything? What do you want to feel? Not think, not do. What do you have, not have? What do you want to feel more than anything? Really explore that. Maybe put that on your journal. Put that in your journal and start to unpack that and start to explore that, or marinate or percolate, or whatever word you want to use there. What do you want to feel more than anything? And what are you doing? What choices are you making? What relationships are you in? Are things moving you in your day that you're choosing, whether you know you have choice or not, whether you're intentional, giving attention to the intention, whether you're intentional about that choice or not, you have choice to move towards that, feeling what you want to feel: joy, satisfaction, contentment, peace, unity, whatever that is. Happy, whatever that is. Are you making things every single moment of your day? I know you're like, oh God, that's exhausting. It gets easier. You know, it's like going to the gym the first few times, or first 100 times, and then, or learning to run a 5K or something. The first few times it's awful. And then after a while, you're like, oh, okay, not so bad. It's getting easier. Maybe another time it's awful, but then the next time it gets a little easier and your recovery gets a little faster. Same thing mentally, same thing emotionally, same thing spiritually. You're just practicing. And you're building. It's not to bore you with some brain science, because I don't know a lot of it. So I'm not going to pass myself off as a brain science person, but Google, neurological rutting. We're creating pathways in our brain. And the beautiful thing about our brain is we can create new pathways in our brain. I think if I'm remembering correctly, the term is neuroplasticity. You can Google that too, neuroplasticity. All right. Meaning our brains are brilliant, genius, the way they're designed, that if we are going on this path, we can make adjustments and create a new path, a new rut, as it were. All right. So starting this year, keeping the focus on ourselves, I want to make a proposal today. I want to offer something to you today. So many times people, when we get into this new opportunity, new year, it's my favorite time of year. Everything that's old is new again. We have new goals. Maybe you have resolutions. This is my month. This is my year. This is when I'm going to do this. Lots of gusto, lots of motivation. Let's capture that. Let's stay with that. Okay. Let's keep that energy up by letting go. Which kind of feels counterintuitive. No, I got to grab. Do you? When everybody else is grabbing, consider this. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to release? I was, my parents were in town over the holidays, and they love, I think my dad goes along with it. My mom loves consignment shopping and thrift store shopping. So I come by it very honestly. I do too, in other words. So we all go consignment shopping. There's some great stores here in Houston. If you're ever in Houston, Texas, whoop, come by and see us. So we're checking out those places, and oh my gosh, I found, normally I don't find anything. Like, I'm always holding someone else's purse, or, finding stuff for other people. Andrea, I'm like, hey, this is great. I found so much stuff. It was like my day. We went to 2 or 3 consignment stores, and I was like, good Lord, I need this, and I want this. I've always wanted one of those. It was great. It was really cool. So I come home, and I've got some new clothes. It's been forever. It's embarrassing how long it's been since I've had some clothes, someone else new to me anyway. And so I go to my closet, and I realize I don't have any more hangers in my closet. I have hangers in other closets, but all the hangers in my closet are taken. And so I start walking to get other hangers, and I stop, and I go, why don't you just had a little float in? Whether it's divine, I like to think so, Holy Spirit, higher power, whatever, instead of going to get new hangers or and putting your new stuff on them and shoving them in your closet, why don't you go through your closet and find things that you're no longer wearing, take them off the hanger, give them to a Goodwill. We have several places that we donate to around here. Goodwill's one of them. Then you'll have a hanger. So for every clothing item that you buy, this is not new to me. I actually heard someone say this in a women's conference once. For everything I bring home and I buy clothing, I take something out and I donate to someone else, a shelter or something along those lines. So I did that. And I went through and I just cleared out my closet. And then I had such a good time letting go of clothes that I haven't touched in years. Had such a good time that I actually started going through drawers of clothes and t-shirts and stuff that I haven't touched in years. And I made so much more room for it. And then finding that to be so motivating and so exciting. I'm not saying this is something you have to do. It's not for everybody, but I was having so much fun. By the way, follow your joy. If you have a light up and something lights up, keep following that, keep going that. You're feeling motivated. Why stunt it and stop it if you've got the time to do it? So then we went into the kitchen. Well, gosh, we've got 2 of these, and so let's get, started making room all over the house in the same way. So that's a physical, behavioral example of what do I need? What closets, what drawers, what cabinets do I need to go through in my own life and get rid of stuff that's no longer serving me? It's no longer working for me. In fact, it's creating clutter. And we know psychologically, clutter for a lot of people creates stress, or it's driving you. In fact, I think there's a TED talk about declutter your space in order to stress less or feel less stress. And I know that's a big ask. If it, what's that thing, marry somebody if it doesn't cause you joy, if you touch it and it doesn't cause you joy. Again, I know that's a big ask, and it's entirely up to you. Take what you like and leave the rest. But for me, that was really something that I thought, man, and that's what inspired actually this topic today. What do I need to go through in my life and let go of? Now, when it comes to Dory, you got a dose of Dory today. When it comes to me, I will always come from the perspective of thinking, feeling, and spirit. Okay. So you've heard mind, body, and soul. Do not trust your body to me. Okay. Please go to a doctor or a physical therapist or a chiropractor or a trainer, someone that knows how the body works. But I do know a little bit how the mind works and the spirit works and the emotions work. So that's my subject matter expertise. That's the place where I come from, is mind instead of mind, body, and soul. Mind, feelings, thinking, feeling, and spirit. Maybe that might be a way to put it. So when it comes to thinking, feeling, and spirit, in that case, what thoughts, not just clothes in your closet or things in your kitchen, what thought are your car? Oh, good Lord, cleaning out your car. So you make space for other people to sit in it, or you make space for other things to come your way. What thoughts are stopping your progress? What thoughts are you having that are stopping your progress? What thoughts are you having that's causing resistance? What thoughts are you having that's creating obsession and rumination? What thoughts are you having that is tearing you down? And because it's so easy, neurological rutting, because you're having thoughts that so quickly, so easily, without even being intentional, tearing yourself down in negativity. And therefore, it makes it easy to tear other people down in negativity. Even if you never say it from the heart, the mouth speaks. But if you never say it, it's still in your heart. It's still in your mind. What thoughts are you having that need to be removed? I need to let go of that. What are you holding on to? Resentments, anger, frustration. Why are they like this? Why are they not like this? So that's an issue of focus. Where is your focus? And I think what I want to do, for those of you that know me pretty well, there are several on that know me pretty well, you know that I've always wanted to create a workshop, a boot camp, whatever, called Grow the F Up. I think that might be this space. This space might be every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. I think we're going to start talking about growing the F up, because that's where I am. That is exactly where I am. I have not figured this out. I want to walk with you. I want you to walk with me as we're on this thing together on growing the F up. And what that means, by the way, F can mean anything you want it to mean. I shared this with a group of chaplains and they said, we'll call it faith. Great, grow the faith up. I'm going to call it grow the focus up. What can we do? What do you need to do to grow the focus up just for today? Just for today, where is your focus? What you focus on gets bigger. Whatever you focus on gets bigger. So where's your focus today? If you're focused on why are they doing that, then that annoying, buggy behavior is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're going to be more annoyed and more disturbed and more frustrated and more angry. Again, I used to do couples counseling. So that was 99.999% of the couples that were sitting in the sofa in front of me. They just kept focusing on this person doesn't do that. And they don't care about that. And they, them, he, her. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The resentments, the anger. Where is your focus? That's why we say in this space, keep the focus on yourself. And by that, if you're a person of faith or recognizing spiritual things, I don't mean religion, I just mean soulful things. When I say keep the focus on yourself, to me, that is one-on-one with my, whether you want to call it higher power, source energy, universe, God, whatever that may be for you. That's what I mean. So please know when I say keep the focus on yourself, that means me and mine, me and my creator, me and my divinity within, so forth and so on. You fill in the blank, treat it like a Mad Lib. You fill in the adjective or you fill in the qualifier or the name or whatever you like for yourself. But please know that's what I mean by that. Okay. Keep the focus on yourself and that partnership with that source. Everyone else is going to do what everyone else is going to do. So what do you need to do today? Just for today, because tomorrow will be a new exercise. And what do I need to do today? And then the next day will be a new exercise. And what do I need to do that day? And then the next day, what do I need to do? In fact, for some, it might be just learning to do hour by hour. You might find, like when you meditate, you might find that your thoughts go other places. And then you go, no, wait, get your attention back to your breath. You'll find that throughout the day that you start moving your attention or your focus. Grow the F up for yourself, for your sake. And if I'm sitting here focused on what I don't have, I'm sitting here focused on competing. I'm sitting here focused on how that's not fair. And well, they got that. And what about me? Now I'm focused on being a victim, but I have choice. Nothing wrong with being a victim. But for me, in my case, because there are true and actual victims, but in my case, when I start to focus on they have and I don't, I'm now focusing on my lacking, my insecurities, my insignificance. And that doesn't feel good. Go back to that question. What do you want to feel more than anything? That doesn't get me closer to what I want to feel. It actually gets me further away. I feel like I'm lacking. I feel insignificant. I feel insecure. So why would I focus on that? I want to grow my focus. I want to grow the F up and say, wait a minute, I need to take care of what's on my side of the street. It is so easy to point out problem point with everyone else in the world. What's harder than being miserable? I think I got it right this time. What's harder than being miserable is changing. So instead of putting my focus on them or focus on that or focus on things I cannot control, the things I cannot change, keep the focus on myself, things that I can control, things that I can change. What are thoughts that I no longer want to think because it does not serve me well? It's not good for me. What are feelings that I'm having? Is a thought driving it, or is it just, it's not serving me well? I feel resentment. Why? Because they didn't meet my expectation. Did you let them know what the expectation was? Do you recognize they have the freedom to decide what the expectation, if they're going to meet that or not? You don't have any say. You don't have any power. You don't have any control over someone else. Now I'm preaching, I think. Yeah, but is that serving you well? Is that getting you closer to what you want to feel? If it's not, let it go. Or at least practice letting it go. By the way, easier said than done, I know, but don't let easier said than done stop you from doing it. Please. Don't let easier said than done stop you from doing it, because you are worth, if you believe you're worth it. Don't let me tell you what you are. When we're stressed, we default to our defects. When we're stressed, we default to our defects. What are the defects of character? What are some of the shortcomings? What are some of the isms that you have going on in your life that are really important for you to let go? It's no longer serving you. It's no longer working in your favor. Thoughts, feelings, attitude, spirit stuff that's no longer working. For example, are you a perfectionist? Are you particular? These are all defects of character. I need things done the way I want them done in order for me to feel comfortable, in order for me to feel happy, in order for me to feel, well, then again, you're putting your comfortableness or your happiness or you're entangling that. That's the word. You're entangling that with someone else doing the work and you sitting back and reaping the benefits, and they're not going to do it, or the one time that they don't do it. And now my happiness is tied in with that. So now I'm no longer happy because they didn't. Let me tell you, that's not fair. That's not fair to you. We're going to do a whole thing on fairness. It's one of my favorite topics. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them to entangle your happiness or you entangle your satisfaction or joy or balance or sanity around someone else. It's not fair because it won't work. So are you a perfectionist? Are you particular? Are you competing? Are you constantly judging yourself against someone else? Are you constantly looking around to see who's got what? And then that drives your sense of lacking. I just talked about that a second ago. There's so many things that are defects of character. When we get stressed, we default to our defects. So just like I went through my closet and emptied out some things, maybe go through your spiritual closet, mental closet, emotional closet. And what are some things, what's a thought pattern or a mindset or an attitude that it's no longer serving you? You're entangled with other people and it's time to let that go. How do you do that? Awareness, acceptance, action. 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. Most of the time, I don't know how the miracle is going to happen for you, but I know that it's happened for me. And I couldn't tell you, I couldn't put it on a spreadsheet or I couldn't put it in a PowerPoint, how it happened. It just did. Most of the time, well, all of the time, it starts with awareness. I can't help what I don't know. Can't help what I don't know. For me, I'll say for me. So awareness is key. What is it? Instead of just saying, yeah, I want to let go of some stuff, be specific, just like with complimenting a child, giving praise to a child. Don't go, hey man, you did good. Good job out there. Be specific. The more specific you can get, the more validating it is. I see you. I hear you. Be specific as you can. And the way you do that is you journal or you dig deep or you think through or whatever it is. Okay. We're going to wrap up here in a second. We're on the call to action, the action steps. Okay. So awareness, And by the way, I would encourage you, if this is kind of a new concept for you, or if you're kind of grappling with it going, I'm not sure which, then just take some time in being in awareness. Awareness takes a long time because most of the work is done in awareness. You know, if I'm in denial about something, if I'm not sure about something, if I'm blaming other people because I don't want to look at it myself, because if I look at my own stuff, then I just think I'll just break down and melt or whatever. Being in awareness is so incredibly difficult. I think that's why so many of us prefer to live in distraction. We prefer to live in getting busy and all up in your life, distracting so I don't have to be all up in my life, being all up in social media or television or news or whatever, getting obsessed about things that we can't control because it's terrifying or daunting or overwhelming to try to think of the stuff that I can control. And now I don't even know what to do with it. So being in awareness, let's not take that for granted that, oh, okay, that's an easy first step, or that's an easy thing to say. Again, just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not easy doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. Easier said than done. Don't let that stop you from doing it. Okay. If you want to change, instead of if you want to hurt less and feel better. The other part of that, so awareness, find one thing that you can be aware of. If you don't know, again, I'm a person of faith, ask. You can definitely ask the people around you. And if they love you and they're honest with you, they'll tell you, oh yeah, here's your problem when you get stressed. But I prefer to go to the source. Just having an open conversation with my creator who knows me better, knew me before I was even formed, kind of thing. I don't want to get too, definitely don't want to get religious about it. And I don't want to shun anyone off. Just saying, I don't have these conversations in a vacuum. I don't have these conversations by myself. Even when I'm journaling, I constantly want to be what Esther calls Abraham. If you're familiar with Abraham's work, tapped in, tuned in, turned on. I constantly want to be tapped in, tuned in, turned on, and listening for where's my next step? Where's my next move? Because this thing, this for me, I call God, wants so much better for me, wants so much better for me than I even know how to even do for myself. All right. So awareness, acceptance, and action. You know what? That's a great place to start. Let's just start with awareness, and then we'll deal with acceptance and action later on. But just for today, just for this minute, just for this hour, giving attention to the intention of keeping the focus on yourself. What do I need to do to grow the F up, to feel strong and empowered today, to feel good today, to get me closer to what I want to feel and farther away from what I don't want to feel? Where am I entangled? What hooks am I on? What agreements have I made that why did I say yes when I wanted to say no? How am I being massively controlling over things that I cannot control? Caretaking over people that don't appreciate it. Where am I exerting my energies in places where I am that is outside of me when I need to keep the focus on myself? We need you. I'm being absolutely sincere. We need you to hurt less and feel better. We need more people in our places of work, in our places of faith, in our homes, in our community, in our federal government, in our state government, in our law enforcement and local work. We need people hurting less. We need people feeling better. Better feeling people make all of these places better places to be. And the only way we get there is if you commit to doing it, keeping the focus on yourself. How do you hurt less? And how do you feel better? How can you feel better? I love you. I am very glad that you are here. I have no idea where this is going to be. I have no idea if this was enough time or not enough time or too much time, or if I babbled or rambled. I'm sure I will be spending the next 4 days judging me. I will try to let that go because I'm a perfectionist as well. And I have controlling tendencies. I always tell my business partner, Joey, I'm not controlling. I'm quality controlling. And he's like, yeah, but it's still controlling. So I get it. I'm going to try to let that go. My commitment, I'm putting it out there. I love how you guys love me. I absolutely love how you love me. I hope you feel that love back to you. Next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. You have some work to do. You've got some homework this week. Keep the focus on yourself. What do you need to lose? What do you need to let go of so that you're making room for all the joy, all the good, all the feelings you want to feel, hurting less and feeling better. Okay. Love you guys. Oh, I'm so glad, Brandy. Thanks so much. All right. You guys are awesome. See you soon. Bye.